Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the information and communication technology sector. Now, Egypt has entered the digitalization age, transformation into a smart way of life, smart cities, smart agriculture, a much more sustainable and technologically advanced way of life. And we're going to be focusing on this very much flourishing sector here in Egypt. But before we start doing that, let's check out the main story making the news today, where President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has received the CEO of Italy's Eni petroleum company today. The presidential spokesman, Ambassador Bassam Radi, said the meeting tackled the recent and future activities of the company in Egypt in the fields of excavation and production, in addition to cooperation and renewable energy projects. The meeting was attended by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Engineer Tariq al-Mullah. This has been the main story making the news today, but now, without further ado, turning our attention to the IT sector and the digital revolution taking place here in Egypt. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back to shed more light on it.
Egypt is witnessing a revolution in information and communications technology, the scope of which stretches far beyond the realm of the sector itself. The Ministry of Communications and Information Technology strives to achieve the digital economy through the use of information technology tools to provide prosperity, freedom and social equity for all. Its mission is to enable the development of a knowledge-based society and a strong digital economy, relying on equitable and affordable access to knowledge, digital rights, and the development of a competitive, innovative information technology industry. The new Egypt will possess a competitive, balanced, and diversified economy, dependent on innovation and knowledge, and based on justice, social integrity, and participation. At the core of the Sustainable Development Strategy are three dimensions, including the economic dimension, transparency and efficiency of governmental institutions, energy and knowledge. Information Technology 2030 strategy contributes to achieving the objectives of Egypt's Vision 2030 through building digital Egypt. These objectives entail developing the ICT infrastructure, fostering digital inclusion, achieving the transition to a knowledge-based economy, building capacities and encouraging innovation, fighting corruption, ensuring cybersecurity, and promoting Egypt's position at the regional and international levels. Digital Egypt is an all-encompassing vision and plan which lays the foundations for the transformation of Egypt into a digital society. Digital Egypt strategy is built on three main planks, including digital transformation, digital skills and jobs, and digital innovation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and joining us here tonight in the studio, we're joined by Dr. Mohamed Azzam, the board member of the International Association of the Management of Technology. Dr. Azzam, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure and honor being with you.
It's a pleasure, sir. Dr. Azzam, now Egypt is pressing forward with all the efforts exerted in the IT sector, the digital age, and it's really manifested in the Digital Egypt platform. Now, it has come across and is involved in all sectors within the Egyptian life and the Egyptian economy. But what is important and what can be achieved through this initiative, the Digital Egypt platform?
Actually, Digital Egypt platform is one of the pillars of the broader perspective of the digital transformation of the country. Digital transformation of the country is one of the main topics on the top of the agenda of the Egyptian government, and the President Sisi mentioned that so many times in many different occasions. So availing this kind of services to the citizens, to the businesses, I think this will reshape even the image of how we conduct business, how we provide services. And I remember a recent report issued by the World Bank last November, as I remember. It was mentioning that Egypt is progressing in the domain of providing digital services to citizens and all the business sectors, and moving from the concept of digital transformation to the concept of the government tech, which is a higher level of the digital transformation. That means is not only a one-way communication, it's a two-way communication between the government as a provider of the service and the citizen and the businesses as consumer of the business. And this would help, of course, not only easing doing business or availing services to citizens, it will also help Egypt to progress on the ladder of competitiveness. And being, if you look at any international report that measuring the competitiveness of any nation, you can now find the communication and information technology and innovation at large is becoming a cornerstone in each pillar that measuring the competitiveness of the nation. So it means that you are competitive. That means that you are capable to deal with the 21st century tools and dealing with the concept that it's everywhere actually, and yes, you cannot do the same thing the same old way. Otherwise you will be outdated, and if you are outdated, so you are in a serious situation, because if you are an advanced country and you are consuming and producing technology, it means more direct investment, it means more projects, more job creation, especially for youth.
Yes. Well, let's take it step by step, providing the services and talking about being outdated. Now, we understand that the government is providing its services now digitally, and whenever you go to any governmental institution to finish up any sort of paperwork, there's usually the employees and the paperwork and having to find 100 different signatures, and step by step this is decreasing. But when can we actually achieve that you can get all these services done without having to file a single piece of paper, for instance?
This is a very good question. However, digital transformation is a journey. It starts, but it has no end. So you're always progressing, you're always advancing, you are always adding new services, because having or converting the service from the traditional medium, the paperwork, for example, that needs to re-engineer the service to be totally matching the new medium, which is the electronic medium. So it's not only I'm taking the service as this and convert it to electronic service. Actually, the government is re-engineering every service to match the new medium, which the platforms. So and look at the numbers using the Digital Egypt platform. Actually, we have like 5 million citizens that are using the platform today. And they almost conducted like 20 million transactions over very short time, almost over 6 weeks since the opening of the new services. So this is giving me a good indication that if the service is convenient, and the service is easy to be conducted, and the service is measured and has a sort of governance that I'm taking the service in a certain time according to certain standards, and I received the document at the end of the day to my office or to my home or to wherever a place I'd like to receive the document. This changing even the mental perception among the citizens. Why should I go to the governmental entity and staying in lines and waiting for employees to do some paperwork and paying in one place and then receiving the document in a different place and consuming this time and effort, which is should be translated into money as well.
Yes.
Instead, I have now the platform. I can choose the service that I need. I fill my information, and then if I'm completing the procedure or I'm having a certain set of the requirements that I fulfill it completely, then I'll have the document within 48 hours, for example. And the document is produced at the new complex of secure documents. It's one of the huge projects all over the world, actually. It's not only in Egypt. This is a very remarkable project that will, of course, push the digital transformation efforts in Egypt miles and miles to be a real, respectable country that's providing world-class services to the citizens and to the businesses. Look at it's actually, this center is capable to produce like 400 million secure documents a year, and is equipped to produce the banknote either on paper, either on polymer, that like the new 10 pounds. Also, it's capable to produce like 20 million new, passports every year, 30 million payment cards that you are using through the banking sector, and like 60 million smart cards. So this is a huge step forward, and it's reshaped the mental image about the country, and reshaping the mental image about the country for being a traditional company to a very modern country. This is very important in front of the investment community all over the world, and in front of the tourism sector. And it's actually it's reshaping the mental image is very important, and this is very critical part of the digital transformation journey, which is you are trying to convey the message that Egypt is a modern country. They are capable to work according to the 21st century mechanisms, and we are providing world-class services. The governance is there. It will kill the bureaucracy. It will kill the corruption, which is a very important target for Egypt to become really one of the leading economies by 2030.
Well, if the government is, and the Ministry of Information Communication Technology is doing all these efforts and providing world-class services, they're doing their bit, but what about changing or educating the normal and the average citizen of how to use these services, the possibility of actually using these services? What can be done for the Egyptian citizen to change the mentality and the culture of the Egyptian citizen, transforming it from what they've been used to for decades up until the new digital revolution age?
Again, it's a matter of awareness. It's a matter of perception. It's a matter of what's called digital trust between the government as a provider of the service and the citizen and the business as consumer of the service. Again, being an engineer, I believe in numbers.
Yes.
If you look at the map of the digital usage in Egypt, you can find like we have like 100 million mobile lines. 90% of these lines are using smartphones. We have 70 million users on the internet. We have 50 million users using social media platforms, as well as almost 50 million Egyptians are using e-commerce platforms and paying almost 10 billion US dollars a year, buying things from the internet, using mobile, using laptops, using computers, and paying 10 billion US dollars. So this is give you an indication that if the service of a value and the service is easy to be used and there is a convenience, the Egyptians will go and consume the service. And the beauty of the Egyptian digital platform is it has a feedback mechanism. So if I'm happy with the service, I'll give it 5 stars. If I'm not happy, I'll give it 1 star. I have a space to write a comment, which is very important. The feedback mechanism is very important because it could be a very important source for advancing and making the service more convenient and easier. So Egyptians are using technology, no doubt about it. And by time, we have like 5 million Egyptians using the new platform. This is in almost like 6 weeks. So eventually, I'll go and I'm using this platform. If I'm not technology geek or I'm not a technology expert, and this is becoming very minimal in within the Egyptian society because 75 million people using the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and 50 million using the platforms for the e-commerce. So literacy is there. So by time and even very soon, people will use the service either directly using their mobile phones or their computers or going to some entities like the Egyptian Post Authority, for example. They have kiosk for providing the services with the help of the staff of the Egypt Post. As well as you can find these kiosks everywhere in the malls, for example. And the platform, the Egyptian digital platform, is equipped with call center. So I can have a short number, I'm going to call the short number, and they're working with me step by step to finalize the service that I need. So it's becoming very convenient. And the new generations are using technology, and technology actually is a normal extension to their senses. So the people will use it, and there are many alternatives for providing the service, not only going to the portal or using the mobile app. I can have a call center, I can go to a kiosk, I can go to the post office. So it's the venues there, as well as the cost of the service will be more or less compared to the traditional cost. If I'm paying using a wallet or using a debit or credit card, it would be for me cheaper to get the service rather than go to the entity and staying in lines and waiting for a very long time and paying cash. So the choice will be there. If you'd like to suffer, please go have it in the traditional way. If you'd love to have an easy, convenient way, please use the mobile application, use the platform through the internet, go to one of the kiosks, go to one of the post offices to get the service. And the choice, of course, will be for more convenience and saving time and money.
Well, Dr. Azzam, you've mentioned this term, which is about building the technological trust with the Egyptian citizen, and you've explained how there are so many ways of following up and evaluating and developing the services and overcoming such obstacles and challenges. However, you've also mentioned that it's an ongoing process of development. So with the ongoing process of development, there will be ongoing challenges and obstacles appearing here and there. What can the ministry and the government in general do to keep up with the pace of the development and also keeping up with overcoming these obstacles and challenges?
Challenges are everywhere. We have new mediums, so we'll have new challenges. This is very normal. However, of course, it's a journey and it's an ongoing process. So from time to time, the government will need to upgrade the infrastructure, the services, the servers I'm using, the internet I'm using, the speed of the internet, using now fiber optics. Maybe tomorrow we'll have the 5G, and so on and so forth. And also keep advancing the service, make it more easier, revisit the way I'm providing the service, inventing new services, re-engineering the old services, and keep the people updated with the change. We'll have new needs and demands as well. So in the future, I need to always have a sort of updating the type of services, the way I'm doing the service, the way I'm conducting the service. Maybe today I'm using my mobile to get a birth certificate, for example. Tomorrow, I'm paying the fees with my credit card. Tomorrow, I don't need to have it like this. I need to pay through my mobile wallet, or I have it as a QR code. I don't have to receive the traditional certificate, paper-made certificate. Maybe tomorrow, what I need is to have it a QR code and send it by QR code, receive it by QR code. So actually you are in continuous need to upgrade and change the mechanism of providing and conducting the service, the methods of conducting the service, even the medium through which I'm providing the service. So change and the development is also an ongoing process. And it will never stop.
Yes. Well, these are some of the services that can be provided to the citizens for their individual needs and requirements within all aspects of life. But there are also the new cities, the new smart cities, the fourth generation cities, the new administrative capital, new Alamein city, new Mansoura, everywhere. So what does the information communication technology services, how different are they for these cities as opposed to just the services provided to the regular citizen? Are they different kind of services? Are they more challenging? Are they easier? Because now you're dealing with cities with thousands and maybe millions of people living there.
ICT would be the key for such fourth generation cities. And actually, the concept of smart cities is not becoming an option now. We have, here in Egypt, all over the world, because we have so many people are traveling from rural areas to cities. Internationally or globally, we are talking about like 75,000 citizens are moving from rural to urban areas. So this would give more pressure on cities. So without utilization of technology, the cities will be aging as well as people. So the technology here is helping the cities to be always young, swift to the needs. Using the technology from a broader perspective, that include the ICT, the high-speed internet, the artificial intelligence application that would be embedded in the smart transportation system for utility management. This including the preventive maintenance procedures, including also to predict and forecast any failures before it happens. So it would save time to fix the faults or to fix the possible default before it's happening. So the cost there is totally different, is far less. At the end of the day, this would give you a better life for the citizens, a better business environment for businesses, and again, you are matching the world-class cities.
Yes.
So it's technology is becoming around us everywhere. It's embedded in every single aspect that we are living today. From the agriculture, from the healthcare, from the transportation, from the media, from education, everything actually is there. The more consumption of technology, the more advancement as a country or as a nation you will be. The more attraction of investment, the more job creation, and the more innovation. Because innovation is a critical key when it comes to technology, and innovation by definition is converted technology to a utility that has either social or economic impact or both. So you are making a new environment actually. You're making more modern environment that cater the new needs of the new generations, and will cater the new dynamics of the world. It will cater the new sophistication of the business environment. That's why the smart cities are not an option anymore.
Yes.
This is not a part of the luxury anymore. It's actually it's a necessity, it's a mandate. If you'd like to be one of the competitive nations around the world.
Yes. Well, sir, you've mentioned the different sectors the ICT has been heavily involved in, talking about agriculture, health, education, industry, what have you. Now, which sector did you feel the ICT has achieved a lot of progress and success, and which sector do you feel that needs more work from the ICT sector to be involved in? Even it could be the ICT sector in itself that needs even more development. Which do you feel had more success, and which do you which do you see needs more work?
Actually, if you look at the ICT sector, and I'm biased to the ICT sector by nature, it's progressing very well. Actually, we have double-digit growth, even during the economic crisis because of COVID-19. So the ICT sector is progressing, and we have now Egyptian unicorns that valuated at more like we have one company valuated at 1.5 billion US dollars, and the other company valuated at 1 billion US dollars, and both are traded in international stock exchange. So we have now new models that we have unicorns. So there's a possibility for more unicorns. And the ICT sector, the beauty of ICT sector is it's a sector that is totally dependent on brains, and we have brilliant brains. We have no doubt about it. We've seen this for years. The more utilization of technology, I have two ways actually, in all sectors. Either I'm going to import the technology and implement it within the sector, and this is easy, but it's costly and will never give me the know-how that I need to build in-house skills and expertise in this domain. And today, the Egyptian government are working on building the skills and expertise within the ICT sector, and actually trying the innovation of the Egyptian youngsters in too many national projects. So we are totally different. So if a startup comes with a great idea, brilliant idea using technology for agriculture, you will find the ultimate support from the ministries that responsible for the sector. If you have a brilliant idea for smart transportation, it will be implemented tomorrow. If you have a great idea for education, it will be there. So again, it's an ongoing process. Of course, some sectors are advancing, and some sectors that needs more attention to ICT to be implemented within the sector to gain more competitive edge over the global competition. So I think the industrial sector in Egypt needs this more implementation and more consumption of technology, especially within the concept of the fourth industrial revolution or beyond. And we've seen this actually in the many governmental projects like the Pharma City. The Pharma City was built according to the highest standard of the fourth industrial revolution. Totally automated, totally monitored, totally untouched by human. Of course, pharmaceutical industry by nature as well is very sophisticated industry, and the measures is very critical. And we've seen recently that Egypt has an initiative to build electronics. And there is actually an initiative called Egypt Makes Electronics. And this is a huge step towards owning a technology. And owning the technology will give you the edge, because if you look at, if you consume the technology or having us incremental innovation about the technology, the value that you can get is very minimal as well. But if you own the technology, of course you can add premium to the services and products that you are selling, and technology is quite needed everywhere, all over the world. So we are building this kind of capacity. We are opening so many projects that totally dependent on technology. We mentioned the secured complex of documents. We mentioned the Egypt Pharma, the Pharma City, and a lot of other manufacturing plants that are taking under construction are utilizing the technology, or they are designed to utilize the technology up to the maximum level. And of course the ICT sector is really doing well, because as I told you, it's totally dependent on brains, and definitely the youngsters, the youth, we have great brains. This is for sure. We've seen this in many international competitions. We always awarded the first and second prizes. So we are totally different, and we need to have a mechanism to keep and retain this kind of great minds, and use this great minds in building and owning technology for the betterment of Egypt and Egyptians.
Yes, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Egypt has, over the past 3 years, invested millions and even billions of Egyptian pounds within the ICT sector. Let's check out this report, and we'll be right back.
The Information Technology Industry Development Agency, TIDA, said this month that it has invested 55 million Egyptian pounds in the last 3 years to upgrade operating systems of the Egyptian Root Certificate Authority and develop the human capabilities. TIDA has allocated about 75 million Egyptian pounds as well to establish an exchange site for the Root CA in the new administrative capital to meet the increasing demand for e-signature services. This in addition to ensuring and increasing systems and request speedy responses for real-time verification of e-signature validation certificates. The e-signature law issued in 2004 was established and supports Egypt's e-commerce industry by securing the internet as a legally viable medium for digital transactions, and aims to support digital transformation in all state sectors. It's worth noting the executive regulations of the e-signature law had been amended in 2020 to accelerate Egypt's digital transformation adoption.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing our discussion with Dr. Azzam. Now, sir, you've explained the general main trend of Egyptian youth really focusing on the ICT sector, studying it in universities, technological universities, schools, digitalized, centralized schools as well. And it seems that a whole new generation of the youth are really interested in not just using and benefiting from these services, but also help work on developing it for the sake of Egypt. What else has been done by the government and the educational sector in specific to encourage the youth? Because it is, as you've mentioned, a very much booming and financially rewarding sector as well to work in.
Very rewarding. Actually, we are living in the era of gig economy, and you can find a young man or lady earning like 100,000 to 150,000 US dollars a year, working from home, just writing code. So
Yes.
we are totally, we are living totally in different era. And there are so many great initiatives in this regards to equip the youth with technological skills. One of them is the Egypt Builders, the Egypt Digital Builders. This is for university students and taking classes according to very high standards in domains, very critical domains like the artificial intelligence, robotics, information security, data mining, augmented reality, virtual reality, digital arts, very new digital arts.
Yes.
Now, even the Egypt University for Informatics, that the Ministry of Communication Information Technology launched this year, they have a digital art specialization.
Yes.
And there is another great initiative called Egypt Digital Cups. This for students at age 12 to 17. School students actually, and also they have two parallel tracks. The technical track that also includes artificial intelligence, robotics, data mining, cybersecurity, and leadership and personal skills. So they will learn how to manage time, how to form a team and lead a team. What is entrepreneurship? What's how to be a freelancer? What's the opportunities that I need? What the skills, the presentation skills, the talking skills, the personal skills. So they are combining in this great initiative the technical skills with the personal skills. And starting like 3,000 school students every year. And most of the study are conducted online because they need to save time for the normal schooling hours. So it will be conducted online. And this age they are using online tools, very efficient, very effective. So there are no worry about them in this regards. So this is very important and give me a direction that the government now is working on building the skills for youngsters, which is very important, especially it will be a shortage in this kind of skills all over the world. There is a huge initiative by the World Economic Forum launched in 2020, February 2020, before the COVID outbreak, actually to reskill 1 billion citizens all over or people all over the world. And because there will be shortage all over the world for such skills actually. The only countries that will have a sort of surplus in this great minds, it will be expected to be China, India and Egypt. So that's why the government is launching a lot of initiatives to build the digital skills to equip the youth, either they are school students or university students or fresh grads with the highest technological skills in the highest emerging sophisticated technologies that, as I told you, including the most sophisticated technology such as artificial intelligence or the augmented reality and virtual reality. We are talking about few $1 trillion market size, $3 trillion market size. This is something that we shouldn't neglect. That's why we need today to be ready for the future actually, because future is dependent on what we do today actually.
Yes. Well, Dr. Azzam, you've mentioned, I mean, talking about being ready for the future, you've talked about one way is to import the technology, but at the same time we won't have the know-how of developing it ourselves. So how can we find a balance through using the foreign expertise and at the same time maintain our own educational and training within this sector, keeping in mind that it is a sector that keeps changing and there could be shortages, as you've mentioned, around the world and a scarcity of such technological skill. So how can we manage importing this expertise and at the same time maintain or protect our know-how to develop the ICT sector?
Thank you for this is very good question actually, and you need to have a balance between the two tracks. If you look at the national projects, part of the contract is always to have a sort of knowledge transfer. You need to have the expertise who owns the technology, and they've been there for many years and developed technology in this domains, costed billions and billions of US dollars over 2 decades, for example. So now for each mega project, you have as a country a knowledge transfer program to train your engineers, to train your technicians, to train your youth on the technology itself. And if you look at the Korean model or even the Japanese model back to 70s, or the Korean model back to the 1980s, and now we have the China model, all these countries, great economies, very solid, strong economies, started like this. Starting by importing the technology, making incremental innovation over the technology, till you build your own technology. Once you build your own technology, you'll have the lead. So it works like this, and I've seen this now happening in Egypt. Now we are transferring the technology part of the contract that you are paying for a company that implementing a smart transportation system, for example, or a smart manufacturing system. And in parallel, you are training your engineers and technicians on this kind of advanced technology. And now we are opening venues to do research and development. You are opening venues, you are supporting the research and development, you are supporting the innovation by hundreds of millions each year from the government, from the private sector, from too many stakeholders. Some of them are governmental stakeholders, some of them are non-governmental stakeholders. So the ecosystem is changing, and the ecosystem is working dynamically. So there is no a single path for everything. So it's important to import technology and to study this kind of advanced technology very well. Then you make incremental small innovation using this kind of imported technology. Parallelly, you need to invest more and more in research and development. You need to invest in innovation. You need to invest in entrepreneurship. You need to make success stories locally for such startups and entrepreneurs, to give them the value, to give them the confidence, to give them a test platform that you can teach them, and they can gain experience, to they correct their mistakes and improve their products and services. And then the government would be their first customer, so they will give a reference, so and open channels for their internationalization, and through the technology everything is possible.
Dr. Azzam, one final question, because we're running out of time now. You've mentioned the different channels and different parties responsible to financing such a development, be it the government sector or the private sector, and to reach that level of building your own technology, it will need some time, but it also will need a lot of financing. Do you think that the private sector has a good share, or should bear even more responsibility in financing and the development of this ICT sector?
Definitely. If you look at the advanced economy, the budget comes like 75% of the budget coming from the private sector. In Egypt, I think it's more the government is taking care of this budget. Up to you'll have one day strong, large private sector that the company or this big and large enterprise need to reinvest part of their revenue in the R&D to keep the competitive edge over the competition. Otherwise, they will be obsolete, they will be outdated, and they will go out of the market. But now we don't have a problem in funding good ideas. We are looking for more good ideas to have funds for. The least of our concern now is funding the great ideas. The funding there, so many channels coming from the Central Bank of Egypt, coming from the Ministry of ICT, coming from the banks, the local banks. So there are funds now. We need more advanced, more technological based ideas that could be implemented.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard from Dr. Azzam, it is a sector, the ICT sector has been heavily involved within the Egyptian way of life, the Egyptian economy, and still there are so many hopes and aspirations for more development within this sector that would benefit our economy and our way of life. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. Before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Mohamed Azzam, the board member of the International Association of the Management of Technology. Dr. Azzam, it's been a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you. Pleasure and honor was mine.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.